Most people concede that today's final journey of the Tasman was inevitable. In better times, when state and federal purse strings were looser, nobody seemed to worry too much about the poor patronage of the train. In a bid to cut operating costs, the Australian National Railways Commission reduced the weekly services from 6 to 3, and the already poor patronage fell even further. However, there are Tasmanians who have faithfully used the train, and of course it's always been a novelty attraction for tourists, albeit a slow one. One of the regulars, Mr. Verdon White of Devonport, has made nearly 50 trips on the Tasman.
It's a slow trip, but it's relaxing and it's a safe trip. You're a lot safer than on the road, I tell you, these days. And I think the petrol shortage in the years to come, not many more years either, that they'll have to go back to train. In fact, they're going back to them in Europe quite a lot, in America too. They've become very popular. I know we haven't got the population here but to warrant it, but it will bring a lot of tourists if you could only get the train going again, even if they put steam on as a gimmick in the summertime.
You're obviously a rail enthusiast. Do you think a lot of people would share your view, would hate to see this train go?
Oh, there'll be hundreds who share the view, but it's a pity they didn't wake up before and show that they did appreciate the train by travelling on it. Here's today, we've got the biggest train to leave Hobart, crowded out, and yet they're just waking up too late.
The critics of the service have always pointed to its slowness, with the train taking nearly 5 hours to travel between Hobart and Launceston. But it's little wonder, as the track has deteriorated to the stage where over 80 kilometres of track has a speed restriction ranging from as low as 5 kilometres per hour to 35 kilometres. One man who's campaigned to save the train is Franklin MHR Bruce Goodluck. He was on the last trip today and was obviously disappointed with the failure of his attempts to save the service.
The people of Tasmania are to blame. Not much use trying to blame the politicians, blaming the Labor Party or the Liberal Party. The people of Tasmania are to blame for the reason why this Tasman limit is being taken off today. We've got a shocking apathy in Tasmania. We've got, you know, a shocking parochialistic attitude that's killing this state, and it's about time a lot of people realised it.
Do you think people will live to regret the day this service was discontinued?
Of course they will. In the long term, fuel will be short, and we could find that the motor car may be in such a precarious position if alternatives are not found that we'll need to get back to this sort of transport. And we've been very negative in that thinking, but unfortunately at the moment road transport offers such a great advantage of travelling per time, etc., comfort. All those sort of things have grown over a period of time, and unfortunately we're left with the Tasman Limited today. It may have quite a few passengers on this last sentimental trip, but people just haven't been using it. It's never been promoted as a tourist train, and unfortunately the poor employees of the railways have been wound down to such a state that they're probably demoralised too.
There have been suggestions that our railway system is being brought to a stage where it could be completely closed in 1981. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen, but one can't help feeling that this could only be the start. Today's last trip by the Tasman Limited now means that